Hello, people. How are people doing? What's okay? That's my Discord. Close this out. Okay. How are people doing? Anybody on? Hi, Tinkwish. Okay, that is working. Well, I can switch over and look at this chat. I'm not sure why I'm not getting any stats yet. Let me actually. I forgot I need to pull up the Patreon. Bad times with fricative place distinctions. That sounds like a problem. So let's. Why am I suddenly blanking? Okay. Okay. Let's show this. So I guess we can just start with giving an idea of our poll. So kshup is going to be going to become the definite article. It was previously the proximal demonstrative, right? And I gave you guys three options. We just invent a new distal, and Wetha would become proximal, right? So it would shift from that to this. The other one would be invent a new proximal. Wetha stays distal, and then we invent something to be proximal. Maybe grab an adjective, something. And then it seemed like most people just said lose the distinction entirely, which is possible, but like typologically very, very rare, right? But this is what we're doing. And we can, so I did say in my language here, we can still use a periphrastic construction to like make this distinction still. Like it's, you can still disambiguate, but by default there would be no distance distinction in the demonstratives. So that's, and I also realized something. I realized I had forgotten a cool idea because I had heard a thing from I think Jake mentioned it. They mentioned that there are languages that developed definite articles from classifiers. And I was thinking about doing that, and I completely forgot. So don't worry, I do have interesting ideas for what to do with classifiers, but we went with this demonstrative to be the definite article, and so that's what it's going to be. Um, we will get to what happens. I think that my classifiers are going to become like honorifics. I think that's a natural progression. Now, classifiers can also become indefinite. That is something that's happening in Chinese, where just a bare classifier before a noun seems to mean the same as an indefinite article. Like it's saying that it's indefinite. However, I don't think that is natural here. In Chinese, that's the case because those are numeral classifiers, and basically what they're doing is, like, you have a phrase like "一个人," right? "一个人," which is one classifier person, and then you just go and you delete this, and you delete the one, and you just end up with just 个人, right? 个人, and that is natural, just like many languages derive indefinites from the numeral one. The same sort of process would be happening. In this case, you delete the one and you keep the classifier. But that's not possible here because all you have is possessive classifiers. I think those would be more likely to become something that's a definite article than an indefinite article, because a possessed noun, when I talk about, my bottle, my computer, all of that, that is already basically definite. Now, in English, we do not ever pair a definite article with it, but by itself, it's sort of definite because you're talking about one specific thing, right? You're giving enough information that you could call it definite, right? So yeah, that's just what I'm going to. So that maybe in the future I will do another language that has possessive classifiers or demonstrative classifiers, and those become definite articles. That idea may not just like leave entirely. Maybe I can save that. But also, with the fact that we have both classifiers and gender noun class marking, it might be a little bit like heavy to do a whole lot of that stuff. So I think it's okay to just have kshup become this. And now I'm just going to say good morning. Okay. So day, dawn, dusk, night. So let's crack on. Let's get on with duplicate, duplicate, Alt D. Wait, nope. And I'm just going to okay. Yeah, I never renamed these, so I need to make sure that I know what each are the. This is Middle Fay. And okay. And now we're going to import our rules here. I should learn to use Git. Although it would be, why are you, okay, interesting. So, oh, yeah, in Italian, yeah, you can use a definite article with the possessive. And there are other languages where you can do that, right? Um, but just English doesn't do it. But it's sort of understood to be definite. I don't know how a possessive could not be definite because of the specificity of what you're talking about. So we're going to, I'm just going to put these all in one chart. And we're going to do our thing where we're going to go all the way back to this. And there is also a question of, so we applied that, export it, and we're going to apply all of the changes. Now, oh wow. Ksha. Ksha. Kshapu. Kshap. Kshapu. Kshapu. Ksha. Ksha. Oh, interesting. So these two merge. Okay. And we go ksha, ksha. Ksh. So, okay, so yeah. Okay, so something interesting happening here. Oh, let's Hi. Please don't touch that. You can cause big problems. Oh, I'm copying the wrong thing. How do I? Not Excel. Let me make sure that I'm copying from the correct box. I need to go to the export box. And this is just going to be, let's go. Wait, that was Dawn. Oh, I'm dumb. Okay, that's fine. I can just, ksha, 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 ksha. Kshp. And dusk, I don't know why. Apparently, these ones are not getting assigned a tone. Did I not have a rule for a default tone in dusk? And then we go to night. Shh. So it's got these long shh. So a couple of things. You can see, okay, so dawn and dusk are a little bit different here. But you can see sort of like the affinity of dawn and dusk and having similar forms. And then day and night ending up with a lot of similar forms just because both of them are more conservative. But let's jump back to nouns. I just want to check nouns. So okay. So we decided that the oblique becomes the accusative of animate nouns, and the locative becomes the accusative of low animacy nouns. Okay? Now, because the oblique has merged with this singular form, I think we're going to have to go and say that the oblique got lost. Okay? Merger, nominative, singular, locative becomes the accusative. So this gets deleted. Or I can just to show that this is happening. And then this is accusative. And this is nominative singular and nominative plural. Now, before we go too far with that, I want to go back and say, okay, so what were the demonstratives like? So these were the okay. There was no distinction in oblique and locative before. So let's go back. We know what these forms turned into. Let's go and get with and withiku and see what happened to them. So done. And the reason I am redoing these sound changes, is so I can get the syllable boundaries and stress markers because I need those in the next stages. Oh my. Oh, that's cool. I did not expect that to happen. Okay, so okay. People joining us. So I'm going to and um I'm gonna put this in for the moment. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do here. Okay, so and then we're going to go through here, and this is easy enough to do. So what I was so surprised of is we ended up with and it shouldn't really surprise me, right? Because this is what the way my sound changes work. Is the W became a yeah. So yes, yeah, yes, yeah, yeah, je suis, je suis, si, sûr. And then we'll go through here and 乐器，乐器，乐器，乐器学，乐器学，乐. So this 乐, and this is in a prominent word. So I'm sorry, people, but if you are ever going to use this language, then any of the dialects of this language, then you're going to have to learn to pronounce this sound. It's a yeah, yeah. This also means I am going to have to find a romanization for that, which is a challenge. Yeah. We will work on romanization once we are done with the koinization stage, because the once I have the koine, I can make a romanization for that, and I can do like tweaks to represent the 4 dialects, because I do want to actually have like documentation of the 4 dialects. Not so bad for das. Wish, 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 we wish, wish, wish. That works. Wish. That's a good word for this, for this or that, yeah. Wish. And night also still has that. So export, and night actually still has the theta. Why W? I suppose you could do that. Depends on, it depends a lot on how the system shakes out. But we could still have, just, if I can, how do you, how do you, am I even on Euro Latin? Okay. We could just have this represent both E and the Yue. Yue, if everything like works out the way I want it to, right? It kind of depends. But I really need to like sit down and analyze the phonology first. So the question would be, if I use just the U umlaut, will that become ambiguous? And depending on how, like, I'm using tone marks and stuff, it might be fine. But we have Rishi, 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 Rish. So Rishi, 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 Rish, and Rishi. Rish, Rish. Okay, wait. So, Rish, Rish, and Rishi. I always get confused with grave and acute, which one is high and which one is low. I think this is high. I think acute is high and grave is low, right? So we'll get that. So it's probably going to be either going to be like it'll just be like you, or we could actually have a W with an umlaut, right? Or something like Y with a diacritic, right? Um, umlaut W might, I think. It's a little difficult for people to type, but I think it probably should be broadly supported. The umlaut W, would have to see. So that's a thing. And then I'm going to have to see she, she. How does that ever get translated into a fricative? Is my question. Because we have the W becoming a fricative. Va. Maybe I don't do the W to fricative in this language because it's got support of. No, but then again, also Chinese has this. Chinese has this, but it also has the W V confusion, right? So it's not a problem if W sometimes goes to V. I have Anadu for that. Um, I think it's just harder. It's harder for the y to become that because you even type that. I don't know how to type that. Because this is going to alternate, be in complementary distribution with this. And to differentiate those, you kind of need the glide so that you can hear the secondary articulation on this. Okay, so this is cool. And then the question is, so in Middle Fay, what we had was this was both for the proximal and the distal, the oblique and locative were the same. Which actually, it sort of contributes to this tendency to lose the distinction, right? We've already lost it in some cases, so it's kind of natural for it to be lost elsewhere. Now, my question is, what happens here? So, because, like, if we keep this, we could make this the oblique, right? That would be but then that would end up colliding here, right? This oblique, like if this becomes the accusative, then you'd have the accusative of the distal being the same as the nominative singular for the definite article, which I kind of don't want to do. However, the other thing would be you could take this as the accusative. So let's talk about options here. Accusatives. Oh, we have be, let me get my IP8Q. We could have that's fine because it's not related to nouns at all, right? So it's not going to be a big thing. And then we can have an option of innovate a new accusative. Maybe I can go and grab I can go and grab the suffix from nouns and attach it to, whichever we see, wishy, wish, wish. Gotta learn to pronounce it correctly. Wish, wish, wish. I like the sound of it. Wish. I think I'll take the dusk form of that in the Koine too. So I say wish, wish all the time. Wish, wishich. Yeah. Now, let's talk about, so this is the same as the class 5. So middle fay. Let's go ahead and this changes by class. And so let's and then we'd want one, no, we need 2 more rows. Okay. Right. Let's do the same treatment for this, but I also have questions about this one. It's funny. I was having so much trouble getting patron questions, but I'm getting like several potential patron questions out of just doing doing this stuff. Okay, so let's go back and let's look at forms for 1. And apparently that doesn't change. Okay, so we hit apply. Tadsi, Tadid, Tadud, Tajik, Tadi, 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 Tad, 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 Tad. I have a lot of things I need to learn to pronounce properly. I used to be real good at sounds. And I don't know why. I guess I'm out of practice just practicing sounds. 타즈, 타자. Okay. 타지, 타즈, 타자, 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 타즈, 타. Taj, Taj, Taj. Okay. Tazu, Tazu, Taja, 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 Tazu, Tazu, Ta. And then Tadsi, Tadu, Taja, Tadu, Tadu, Ta. Okay, so word. Life is strange. Tadsi, 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 Tadu, Tadu, Taja, Taja, Tadu, Tadu, Ta, Tadu, Tadu, Ta, Ta. Okay, and then let's get all of them copied over. Ta, Taji, Da, Daji, Daji, Tadu, Tadu, Taja, Tadu, Ta. Hello, Charles. Well, I mean, no problem. There are no worries in being late. You know, I know that I do this super early in the morning. It's not a typical time for streaming. Um, I did not know that I had these voiced um the voiced ed surviving in dusk. That is interesting. I'm going to make an executive decision. So there's two things you could do here. Is to make this into like more of like a harmonious like Africa. We could go and voice this one, make this taj, right? Or you could devoice it. I feel like it's more likely you could devoice the T. And then we have touch. Touch. And why is this becoming a regular T? Okay, we just lose all retroflexes in this in dusk. Okay, touch. So dawn you actually have the retroflex and this is touch. Tadu, taja, taja, tadu, ta, right? And then the night forms. And we got to get back into Word. Ta, tati, tadu, tadu, taja, tadu, and ta. So everybody's got some kind of ta or ta different tones in different dialects, which is fun because of the different ways that tone assignment works in these different dialects. Not sure why I'm not getting any kind of tone in this form in dusk, but it's, I mean, you can have some. We still have so some things we want to determine here is do so right now this is from 1, and remember the word for 1 only had agreement marking for the singular class suffixes because it means 1. You do not ever end up with plural. So the question here I will have is, do we innovate plural class suffixes for the indefinite? Another question we have is, do we innovate class suffixes for the definite article? I don't think, see, the thing is here we already have a singular and plural form, right? So it would be a little bit of a different situation. So we've got more ideas of, we've got a lot of ideas on how, like, what's going to happen here. This also, different things could happen in different dialects too. Um, but I think broadly similar things are going to happen because these are very high frequency, and as they are like having contact, like ideas will spread among them. Um, by the way, I didn't do the paradigms for these yet, but we will get to that. So I think, I think we're about halfway through the stream. I think I can make this into something to ask patrons, but why don't I ask you guys so that we can consider like ways to do this? Um, like like what happens here, and if we do have innovations, we can work on them on stream. Let's go ahead and make a quick poll. I'm going to make a straw poll. Okay, so create a poll. Um, what, uh, where do we get the, um, the accusative for the demonstrative witty? Um, and I'll just put all four of the variants here. And that's going to be, and the question is it going to be E, same as the definite article? Is it going to be or the third option, distinct accusative form? So basically, like nominative and accusative would be the same for this demonstrative, and it would just be marked on the noun itself. And I will allow selection of multiple options. Just 1 to 2. Oh, actually, let's make this, you can make it a ranking poll. And I'm going to give you guys about 10 minutes. 9, 11, and then I am going to let you guys Has that gone out to both my channels? Let me quickly double check that. Hello? Okay. Okay. Let's make sure that everybody gets a chance with this. Um, where is, okay, it went through the Twitch. I don't know why it didn't go through to YouTube immediately. Okay, so I'm going to go. I need to. I will be right back, and we will see what the results of that is. I'm back. How are people doing? Let's check in on our poll here. So okay, so far we have innovate a new accusative form is winning. Go click on that link and make your voice heard. Let's see what we have, because it's only winning by 1 point. And you can give things lots of points here. So we got 2 more minutes and that poll will close. And then we'll see how that goes. By the way, meanwhile, we got more people to vote. And by the way, thinking about it, I actually think we don't want to do this, because so our demonstratives did not have that, and it would be nice to like keep that, which will like highlight the fact that ksha or ksha or ksh is actually related to this, which I will just also not have agreement, and that this had a different source, right? But we can have the question of whether or not we attach the plural class suffixes and have a plural. Basically, the question here will be, and let's get that poll should be over soon. Okay. Okay, so we're going to make a new accusative form. So we have the question here is, do we do Spanish un o like Spanish unos? Right? There's a plural form, or we do like English and, which does not have any plural, and then the plural, and then indefinite plurals just get some kind of quantifier like some or any, right? So we have decided here that we are going to make a new accusative form. So I'm going to name something accusative. We're going to have nom-singular and nom-plural. And this can go, this whole column can go. And this can go. So, what do we want our accusative to be? Oh. So, let's go up to the cases. So we have the locative and the accusative. No, the oblique and the locative. Both of these are used because we can have like the animate, this is for animates, this is for inanimates, right? The question now, as we're going into doing this demonstrative, we went into this part, is this should be, can I center this? Make it clearer that this applies to both? I don't know. So the question is, do we use locative? Do we use the oblique? Do we use the oblique? Do we use the locative? Do we innovate a new suffix? Or do we use, well, or do we use both with the animacy distinction? Now, we didn't do that here. We didn't do that for the definite article because, remember, this merges with this. And we just wanted to say, okay, we want to make the accusative clear, so we were going to use the locative in order to make sure that the accusative is distinct, right? Here, since we're innovating this new form, and we're not going to have that problem, we do have the option to do the animacy distinction here. The question is, do we want to do that? And so let's roll up a poll for that. Do we want to roll up a poll for that? Actually, I think I saved this for a patron poll. And then, because this is a simpler question that I think we want to do. So let's actually roll up a poll for this. So the question is here. So this will be a patron poll. I will write this up as a patron poll later, and you guys who are on the Patreon can go and vote on that. This one, I'm going to say here. Now, a question I have is, do we have examples of family splitting on this? Like romance in the indefinite articles. I don't think. Okay, so okay, there I can't access this. I just want to know, do they all end up with the plural? Because I know Spanish has it. I know French has it. I don't know other ones. Oh gosh. So the indefinite article, they have singular and plural. Wow. They just like derived it from a completely different thing. Wow. Okay. These are all I'm calling these dialects. They probably should all kind of get the same thing. Let's um let's create a poll. Plural class inflection. Hello, Vengeance. I'm doing good. We're just working on some this well, thank you. Thank you, Vengeance Sentence. Vengeance Seconds. I don't know how I cannot like figure out how to pronounce that all. Lisa. But that's a nice compliment. We are working on conlanging right now, making a language for Fae in Dungeons and Dragons. So let's go. Only have a singular indefinite article. So that's what we do. We don't need to select multiple options because there's only one. And we're going to close the poll. I'll give you 5 minutes on this one. Well, I'll give you until 9:30. And share this, copy. Can I, why is it not, it's sent to all. Interesting. Okay, let me make sure that that goes to YouTube as well. There seems to be some issue with sending these straw polls to the YouTube. Okay. And then, okay, I'll have those results over here. So we're gonna be deciding whether like this is all there is, or we have singular. Okay, people, votes coming in. Votes are coming in. Let's see how it goes. Let me pull up chat back up so I can see. Okay. Um. So. Say. And then. What else for determiners? So I think we'll need to. Um. So we have the numerals. We're going to have to have the. That's going to take a lot of work to figure out. There may be some things that I'll have to like sit down and like actually figure out like the directions for all of those to go. Because so one thing with these. Oh, it's moving. So just a minute ago, no was winning. Now yes is winning. That's going to be interesting. Um, yeah. So numerals, I might need to spend a whole session on numerals. Um, so that is going to be fun. Let's. Anything else we need to sort out with the determiners? And I need to get the paradigms for all the prepositions right. Um, but that. Mm, so. Ja, ta, ja. Ja. Yeah. 2 minutes to get your opinions known. Meanwhile, and then we're going to be working on constructions later. So we need to see, like, I don't really see, so we're going to, this is going to change, right? And one thing I need to know is, do support. Do support. So, do support is an English feature. Okay, so see here. Okay, this is a limited preview. So I want to know where this idea that it occurs in Okay. All right. So we have this. This is our answer. So the question is, how is that realized? So we go back to the determiners. You guys have decided that we're going to have plurals of this. Now the thing is, I could just come back and say, like, figure out like what is the what it would have been if from middle fay on we had tad with this the suffix, right? And go off of that. However, that didn't happen. So let's go and let's come up. Yeah, because so like here, it definitely had the singular suffixes earlier, but it didn't have the plural ones. So what I'm going to do is I am going to make a bunch of test routes. I think just like 3 or 4 that are similar in shape to God. And we're going to see what happens with these noun class suffixes, these plural suffixes, with those terms, in order to get an idea of what the plural suffix is at the Mittelpaaren, the middle phase stage, and also at the stage of the various new dialects, right? So we're going to let's get our spreadsheet. So in fact, I also already have some test forms, so we can kind of go with that and sort of take a look. So let's go and Excel Sylvan inflection work, and let's look at our constant root tests, and let's go. We're going to do any kind of stop. Let's look at the voice stops mainly, and let's see what happens here. So we get, okay, so we're looking at the plurals, and we want yeah, we want all of them. So nothing actually happens to this, right? Nothing actually happens to the mad and mab. We're only really concerned about this. And so let's go. So this is class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5. Let's take these and actually let's take this actually, and we're going to go to what happened? Why is that? We're going to go into our this Lexergy. Excuse me. Okay, there we have stress marking and everything, so we can do that. Okay, so let's take a look. So mave, mapu, mad, madpu, mapu, map, Madpa. Mabpa. Okay. Interesting. So here we get this, we just end up with the pa suffix here. And pu suffix here. Here we end up with lenition happening. And here we end up with lenition happening. And these, of course, are just gonna we're just gonna have, it'll be the same as a singular. If we look at this one, again, we end up with, we're just sticking suffixes on, except we get lenition here, right? Lenition. Okay. So, mavi, mapu, mapa, okay. So that establishes that we have a certain pattern happening that we can then apply to what we have. And we're just going to do it by hand. Okay, so singular. And then I'm going to create another chart for the plurals. And this may be the last thing that we do today. And so this didn't exist. None of these actually existed. We are innovating these forms. And I'm not interested in having that. Actually, so these would all be the same. But hello, relaxing waterfalls. How are you doing? We're having some fun over here. So we just decided that we have plural indefinite indefinites here. And let's say, let's delete all of this because this is not. So let's start with day, and we look at what day does. So day, we have, so we end up with this. Okay, so when this is stressed, we're going to have a ta, right? First of all, it would be nice to have the, there we go, have everything here together, right? So when this is stressed for these first two, then it's going to get the low tone, right? And so, but it only gets stressed in first and third. In other cases, we're going to have so here we're going to have ta, right? Here we're going to have tad. We're going to have the tad. And here we have lenition happening. We have lenition happening in these two. And so, and then the suffix here will be I. And then tade, and then pu, pu. Hey, wu. No. Let's just copy this one. Yeah, and pa. And then this is just ah, right? And the reason I'm doing this is this would end up being built Euromian. That's cool. Should Is there any place that you are posting about that? So I've got, and the reason I'm doing it this way and not directly saying, okay, what would have happened if this was in Middle Fay, is this is going to be happening this way for speakers. So I want to kind of capture, okay, and then here we have the, and we have the same thing here. Okay. Right. So we're always having these things be stressed. And then we'll get, this is Dawn, right? Okay. And this, we're always having this lenition happening. Hadi. And then we have the, this unstressed going to happen here. Yeah, so it's Todd. Yeah, it's going to be Todd, right? Todd, right? And then this one, we're going to have lenition happen. And we end up with the long ah again. Right? Ta-da. Ta-da. Nope, that's not right. So this should be, and then here. There we go. Ta-da. And we get wool here. I forgot these should have the stress. And pa here. Okay. Now, let's go to dusk. So it's going to have the same, in this case, we have a high. And interestingly, okay, so interesting. So there, I guess there's a block on the val deletion that is preserving that. I would have expected. So we have that happen, and then this, yeah, so ta, ta, we still have the same lenition happen. Ta, ta, the, and ta, and here we don't have tada, right? Tada, tada. Okay, no, that's wrong. So it'd be ta, da, tada, tada. Okay, tadi versus tada. This is an important thing happening here. In fact, the way that this is happening, we could end up with like the first part in some of these like being deleted. I think it's strong enough that it's not going to be, but we can consider that in the future. And then we have the same thing where this root gets preserved. And then we have the suffix added. Tad, tadpu, tadpu, and tadpa. And finally, let's move on to the night and see if anything else. So night is having the same pattern as day happen here, except that night does not have tones. So we don't get any tone assignment there. But we got, now there's, okay, something interesting to be considering is that in night, oh, this is actually, and this is going to be a retroflex still. So in night, we still are going to get this. I was thought, and then we get ta, da, da. And this is very interesting. It ends up being very similar in all four, um, except for tones, because the tone assignment runes, the default tone is different in different ones. Okay? And there's no reason for the default tone to be any different. So, what have we got here? Okay. What have we decided today? What have we done today? We decided that we're going to have to decide on this. I will make a poll for the Patreon on what happens for the accusative form of these demonstratives. Okay? Um, and then the second thing is there might be another complexity is in that, like, what about the noun form of these two? Is the noun is there going to be noun forms of these demonstratives, which is going to be complicated, or pronoun form rather. We decided that the the accusative of this comes from the locative because this merged with this, right? We have the word for one. We have decided that we're going to, so this is the indefinite article. Originally, we only had singular form. Forms. We have innovated plural forms. And then maybe we can come back and ask about whether, like, class gets involved and whether case forms get involved in that. I think we can probably not do case for this, but it's a question. It's a question for sure. So that's all good. We're going to say leave it here for now. I'm going to export a PDF, and it's Sylvan Notes 5/6/28. Publish. And we're going to go. I'm doing this on stream so I don't forget. Yeah. Why are you okay? Conlangery, and we're going to create a new post. Six 28. Upload that. Is it doing this again? Where it doesn't show up? Did it not? Oh gosh, this is annoying. Okay. No, I don't want Copilot. I need to turn off Copilot somehow. There we go. Okay. Now let's see. Where even was I? Why are you doing this? Okay. This is not another thing. Before I go, Monday we got a new video happening. And give this to paid members and publish that so you guys can see. So another thing to be talking about. So got a new video coming up. If you are a $5 and up patron, you already have access to this. But otherwise, Monday, we've got something. Any newer conlangers who are struggling with IPA, you might want to watch this one because I'm giving a few tips on like how to learn basically. So that's a cool thing. It's funny. I was talking to Madeline James, and I think I kind of like inspired her to try to learn. And now she's doing streams trying to learn IPA before I got my video out. So that's interesting. But anyway, that is it for today. I will find some time to get this poll done. So, where does the accusative form of the witty wishy wish wish wishy 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 where does it come from? But until then, have a great day and happy conlanging.